Welcome into our post-game coverage of the Clemson Georgia Tech game here in Atlanta at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Our report is brought to you by the South Carolina Beef Council. 24-21, Georgia Tech wins it, field goal to win the ball game. Last play of the game, 55 yards, longest field goal of the kicker's career for Georgia Tech. Ends a 9-game losing streak to the Tigers. Fans rush the field. Tigers walk off as a broken football team. Tigers are a hot mess right now, considering the way they have played to this point in the season. They're 1-2, worst start on a season since 2014. How did we get to this point with Clemson this afternoon? They knew that Georgia Tech was going to be a tough physical football team. They're going to try and run the football with their quarterback and throw off of play action and option reads, and they did just that. And they had just enough big plays, Georgia Tech did, in the fourth quarter to pull this one out of the fire when it appeared that Clemson might rally for the second straight week and pull out a victory. Tigers once again came out not ready to play. They fell behind 13-0, 13-7 at the half. They scored late in the first half, had some momentum, got the kickoff to start the second half. Didn't do anything with that, but on their next possession, they went down and scored to take the lead. It was a 73-yard pass to Wesco, who did a great job on a shallow crossing route, caught the ball, got a great block from Moore, and then took it up the sideline for a touchdown. Tigers were up 14-13, and it looked pretty good for them at that point. But Georgia Tech came back and scored early in the fourth quarter with their quarterback, Haynes King, going in from a yard out. Then they ran a two-point conversion play. That was good. Georgia Tech's up 21-14. Back and forth they went both ways, nothing happening in the fourth quarter until Clemson got the football late, and they took it down and scored with 3:26 to play. It was Adam Randall running in for a touchdown to make it a 21-21 game at that point. And then it became a case, can the Clemson defense come up with a stop? They could not. It was a 10-play, 38-yard drive for Georgia Tech. They converted 2 third downs and a 55-yard field goal. And they were out of timeouts. They rushed their team onto the field, the kicking team, and their kicker, Burr, B-I-R-R, very poised. Their entire kicking team was very poised. Dabo Swinney chose not to take a timeout to try to freeze the kicker because he felt like it was chaos out there, and he didn't want to give them, Georgia Tech, a chance to settle in. So the kick was good, and Georgia Tech gets the win. So you look at this game, you look at the missed opportunities for Clemson, had a chance at a touchdown. Cade Klubnik threw a pick inside the 10-yard line. The Tigers did score on the next possession. That was when Wesco called his long pass, but still, when you're down inside the 10-yard line, you want to knock it in. Had an interception that wiped out that opportunity. Klubnik also had a fumble earlier in the game that turned the ball over to Georgia Tech. No harm, no foul. Tech did not score on that possession. And then defensively, when the Tigers needed to come up with a big play in the fourth quarter to get the ball back for their offense, they just couldn't do it. Georgia Tech running that offense with King running the football and also completing some passes. They kept the ball. They moved it down the field. They got it in position for the field goal. Some of the final numbers, 381 yards for Clemson to 358, 7 of 12 on third down for the Tigers, 8 of 15 for Tech. Clemson had 8 tackles for loss. Georgia Tech had 0. Klubnik, 15 of 26 for 207, a touchdown, a pick. He also carried the ball 17 times, and many of those were called runs. Wasn't a whole heck of a lot of scrambling among those runs. They were calling his number a lot to run today. 17 carries, 62 yards. Randall had 15 carries for 80 yards, including Clemson was facing a 3rd and 22 situation when they went down and scored their first touchdown, and Randall broke off a beautiful 30-yard run. He hit an extra gear. We see what Dabo Swinney talks about in him in that play, but that 30-yard run has set up the touchdown drive. He had 15 carries for 80 yards. Wesco had another big day, 7 carries for 126 yards and the touchdown. Haynes King will likely be the ACC Offensive Player of the Week. 20 of 28, 211 yards. He finished hitting 8 of his last 9 passes, and some of those that coming in that last drive. He also had 25 carries for 101 yards. And again, many of those were RPOs and called runs. They take advantage of his running ability. So in the fourth quarter, when it all boiled down to it, Tech was just too strong for Clemson. 104 yards for Tech in the fourth quarter. They went 4 of 5 on third down in the fourth quarter. They had 11 more plays than Clemson in the second half. So they were able to keep the football. That was something that Dabo Swinney talked about after the game. They couldn't come up with the big stop on defense. And the offense is what it is. I mean, it's a very average offense that Clemson has right now. Look at the points they have produced so far this season against LSU, against Troy, and now against Georgia Tech. It just isn't clicking for whatever reason. It seems to me like when they go tempo and they go fast, they play a lot better on offense. The ball comes out quicker. Klubnik makes quick decisions, but so often they get bogged down. They slow down. And I think that's when, just from my observation, when Klubnik gets into his problems, when he has too much time to think about things. So the Tigers are, well, they're kind of where they were last year after they lost to Louisville, which was later in the year. Now it's early in the year. Can they still salvage their season? Possibly. I mean, theoretically, they can. They can't lose another game as far as winning the ACC or even making the college football playoff. Make a run here, win their last 9 games. They'll have a chance to win the ACC. They're going to need help because somebody's got to beat Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's got to lose twice, obviously. But even then, if they can't win the ACC championship, they run the table, they'll be in the conversation for the college football playoffs. But with this loss, the Tigers are going to drop even more down in the AP ranking when it comes out tomorrow. Might even drop all the way out. It's possible they'll drop all the way out with a losing record of 1-2, especially if you look at the way the Tigers have played. Hard to vote them in the top 25 based on the performance at this point. So the 9-game winning streak against Georgia Tech goes by the boards, and the Tigers have some soul searching to do. They have some film work to do. Do they have some personnel decisions to make? That's up to Dabo Swinney and the coaching staff. Swinney is putting this loss squarely on himself and saying that he'll take the responsibility. He'll take the blame for what is happening out there with his football team right now. And what's happening is they're 1-2 and not looking very good, especially on the offensive side of things. Tigers fall 24-21 to Georgia Tech here in Atlanta. More coverage on our website, sportstalksc.com, and tomorrow afternoon, coverage of the Dabo Swinney weekly conference call. We'll see what the head coach has to say about things then. For now, that'll complete our coverage here at Bobby Dodd Stadium, brought to you by the South Carolina Beef Council. Thanks for checking us out here at sportstalksc.com.